Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
Thought I was going to throw up multiple times during the day. That last hole, I guess I just wanted to keep the party going a little longer. Yeah, that was not by design. I don't recommend going right on that tee shot.
Yeah, that right on that tee shot, it actually hit a tree and kicked back inbounds. They all talk about, sometimes you need a little luck to win a golf tournament. Well, he got it in that instance, but he got himself into a position where he was in that playoff and was able to come through with victory. Congratulations to Brian Campbell on his first win on the PGA Tour. So I was doing PGA Tour Live, which airs on ESPN+. And we have multiple channels. One of the channels this week was a complete Spanish channel, which I thought was incredibly cool. For these are the type of things that you can do that are a matter of respect. But it also has the possibility and hope of growing the game in markets where maybe it's difficult to find live coverage of the PGA Tour in Spanish. So we had it in one of our 4 channels this week. I was assigned to host what they call featured groups, and I was working with a tour veteran, Tim Wilkinson. I was also working with Lisa Cornwell. And once they get into, again, to give you the inside terminology, they call it the linear window. And that's when the network goes on the air. And when that happens, we go from covering multiple groups in my channel to covering a dedicated hole. So we were on the par 3 17th, which I absolutely loved when that happens, because they're very, very good at choosing a hole that, what's the criteria? You want it to be entertaining, and you want it to be an impactful hole, right? So this hole was playing, it was multiple days, but I'll say it was playing roughly 200 to 226 yards, depending on pin and weather conditions, wind conditions, etc. And so I love it because, one, you see every single group that's on the course is going to come through our hole. So on Saturday and Sunday with the leaders, we see them all, versus our other channels that, because you have network coverage on, because of their rights agreements and so forth, they can only get so close to the top of the leaderboard. Whereas on our hole, you're going to see everybody, which I love. I think it's so unique that you're going to see players that are struggling. And again, we're there all week. So chances are, if you see a player maybe that started out a little rough on Thursday, started to get it together on Friday, did enough, maybe a few birdies or eagles late, that they did enough that they made the cut, and then they continued to ascend on the weekend. That's really fun and really cool. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Joel Damon, who you see there on the leaderboard that Andrew has on your screen right now, ended up finishing in a tie for 6th at 17 under. Joel was fighting to get to the cut line. And then, again, found something, just kept going and sailed throughout the weekend, to a point that for a long time yesterday, Joel Damon was part of the script. He was part of the story, especially when he eagled 7. Right? So that I really enjoy. Then on Sunday, I'm seeing everybody coming through. And you're looking at a hole, because of its difficulty. I heard players playing it anywhere from 185 yards upwards to 215. Now, the reason for that variance is when they're playing into this par 3, there's water all the way down the left side. The green is kind of skinny and moves away from you, so you're hitting into a narrow portion of the green. It's almost like the green is designed so that it's taking shots in from an angle that it really wasn't designed to. I'm saying that just to give you a visual. Bunker way up on the right. Trouble short left on the line that the pin was cut yesterday. I only saw a couple of players actually hit the water, and in fairness, they were god-awful shots in order to be in what they now call the penalty area, which I'm happy to define why they call it that versus hazard back in the days. There was a modification made that, as a course operator side of me, it makes sense to me with the utilization. I'll just tell you since I touched on it, because it's, as course operators now, we have the ability to use red lines or red stakes versus out of bounds or yellow anywhere we want. And so in the past, when predominantly those red lines or red stakes were delineation of hazards, often water hazards, now they call them penalty areas because you can use these red ones wherever you need to. When that rule came out, which I greatly support, I begged the USGA to let us do what I call the candy cane, a red and white striped post, or at least a red next to a white. And the reason why was, think about the way that 99.99% of people play a ball that goes out of bounds. The vast majority, I don't know how many, unless it's a formal competition, I don't know how many actually play stroke and distance, right? The vast majority go to where it went out, drop a ball there, and they carry on. As an aside, they're usually 30 yards farther than where it actually went out. But nonetheless, they drop it there and they carry on. And so I said to USGA, well, if I'm playing with Dominic and he hooks it into a pond left, he gets to drop where it crossed, if it crossed, but he gets to drop where it crossed, and I have to play stroke and distance because I hit it OB right. And they gave me an answer that, I respect the answer. I wish it could be otherwise, but they said, nah, you hit a ball OB, you're off the property. You're out of bounds. And if you do that, we see that as a greater sin than hitting it someplace that you can't play it, like a pond, inbounds. I was like, all right. My thinking was, part of the whole rules change here was to try to kind of align oneself with what people actually do, like, keeping the flag stick in now, which is another great rule that's gone over very, very well and an amateur level. So anyway, I just thought I'd touch on that as we were talking about this hole. So I really enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed that my assignment finished when Campbell and Potgieter and Jaeger came through 17. But I saw them all. I saw Celinda come through, who I happen to think is absolutely another star in the making. And that brings me to another subject, why I love these events. Now, I could see, and this is the Mexico Open, and I know people would look at this leaderboard and go, first place, Brian Campbell. Second place, Aldrich Potgieter. Third place, Isaiah Celinda. Right? The highest ranked player in the field was Aaron Rai at 29th in the world. And I could see people looking at that leaderboard and going, ho-hum. This is what's happening with the PGA Tour, et cetera, et cetera. And I look at this and go, I loved what we saw. To me, this didn't represent a weakness. It represented a strength. Because if you really love the game of golf, then you love the opportunity to see players on the ascent. Isaiah that I was telling you about, first of all, he's 27. A lot of people think he's younger than that. At the Sony Open, he missed the cut. At the American Express, he missed the cut. At the Farmers Insurance Open, he was tied for 42nd. This week, he was third. Right? Had a real chance. You're going to finish in 19 under, one shot back if you could have eagled 18 or birdied 17. I just think that events like this change a player when you get a sniff of it. And now all of a sudden, if an ascent started, you'd be looking at it going, oh, okay. Maybe the end swing 5, which we've got to see from the Cognizant this week of how it stands relative to getting into the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Right, coming up. And we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on that as this week progresses, and we'll let you know who gets in through that path. But I loved it. I thought it was great. In fact, we have sound that John got us from Isaiah. finishing third. Here, you guys, this is what I'm talking about. You guys listen to Isaiah. This is post-final round yesterday, summarizing the week and otherwise, and tell me what you see when you look at a player like this and go, yeah, I can see the it factor. I can see that you just, I mean, the guy's standing behind a microphone. You may not have seen him hit one shot. I did. And you go, yeah, this guy looks like an athlete. This guy looks like he's destined for more.
Played a great round. Just, obviously a little disappointed that it came up, just one shot short, but to at least give myself a chance was all I wanted to do today. I thought, honestly, being however many back I was, like 7, I knew it was a long shot, so yeah, I can't be too upset about it. I played a good round and just came up one shot short. Yeah, I mean, top 10s are huge out here. That was kind of my primary goal going into today, is just to lock up a top 10 and get into next week, and hopefully players in Bay Hill and all those events. But once I realized I had a chance, I was pretty excited. I just, just came up short. But I love this place. This resort's awesome. Big fan of this golf course. I think it suits me really well, and I love everything about this place.
There you go. Isaiah Salinda. He was born in, I believe, San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco. Lives in Las Vegas now. Winner on the Korn Ferry Tour just last year, in fact. That was his tournament debut. And clearly, obviously, that's the best finish he's ever had on the PGA Tour, to finish in third place alone. So it's really exciting. It was really fun. If we have time here, I'm going to get to more sound from Brian Campbell. The story of Aldrich Potgieter, and that is how you say his name. It's Potgieter. He's from South Africa. Now you guys may be familiar with people from South Africa and the heritage they have with the Dutch, right? But Potgieter is a Germanic name. So you don't know how close his family, his ancestors must have lived to that line. Maybe they were in Germany for a while. So I did some research on it because it's such a unique name. And early on, like so many, and some names that people continue to struggle with, like Xander's name, Schauffele. People continue to insist on calling him Schauffele, which is actually a mispronunciation, which is really interesting. But there were all kinds of pronunciations going on for Aldrich's name. So I did research on it and checked it out. And basically, the anglicized pronunciation of his name is Potter. So Potgieter in German, they're basically saying, is the Potter of Germany. And he definitely had the magic touch for much of it. So he wins on the Korn Ferry Tour last year at 19 years old, youngest winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. He was seeking to become, since 1983 anyway, the 6th youngest to win on tour. The youngest to win on the PGA Tour in that time frame was Jordan Spieth in 2013 at the John Deere. And he was 19 years old, 11 months and days. So Potgieter was about 6 months older, roughly. And through 3 rounds, he was leading the event. And I haven't looked at the final stats. I'm just telling you where he was coming into yesterday because these were stats that are top of my mind. He was coming into the round, leading the field in strokes gained putting, and leading the field in distance off the tee. Think about how formidable that was. Didn't play his best golf in the final round. Totally understandable. He's 20 years old, and he still worked his way into a playoff. What's amazing, and this is, again, to this theme that I'm telling you about, watch this space, watch these young players. Aldrich spoke afterwards, and he just lost in a playoff at 20 years old, and they're asking him essentially the question of, what can you take away from this? And listen to the positivity of the mindset.
It was a great week. Disappointing finish, but I was happy with a second place. On Thursday, if you told me second place was where I was going to finish, I would have said I'll probably take it. So yeah, really happy. I think I made a lot of fans out here this last 4 days, so I was just happy to play some good golf. I probably learned the most at Torrey Pines a couple of weeks ago, playing final group, seeing what it kind of takes to stay in the moment with the other guys that I played with. They played really good. I didn't, so trying to do that today. Struggled the front nine a little bit more, but brought it back the back nine, so I was proud of myself to be able to do that and get into the playoff. Yeah, I just try and block it out and try and stay to my pre-shot routine and focus on that. When I'm over the ball, it kind of all just shuts off. I don't really listen to any of that, so unless someone's really being noisy, but yeah, it didn't really bother me too much. Yeah, so obviously I played myself into next week, so we'll sit down, see if we want to play that. We'll see if we maybe get into the players and a couple of bigger events, so we'll see how that plays out and hopefully go head on straight into those.
All right, so it was pretty cool to watch that young man and to watch him play as well as he did. As we mentioned, Brian Campbell was fortuitous because he did hit a drive in the playoff that was bound to go out of bounds. It ricocheted off a tree and kicked back in, and from there, he made birdie, ultimately winning the playoff for his first PGA Tour win. He is a veteran campaigner. He's been out there for a while, and it was very, very cool. We'll definitely, if we don't get to his sound in more depth today, then you know you're going to be able to find it on our Fairways of Life YouTube channel. Angel Yin won at the Honda LPGA Thailand. Afterwards, she was asked what it means to break through and win for a second time in the LPGA.
Well, it means a lot since last year I wanted to play Thailand, but I couldn't because I was in a wheelchair. Golf course is not that wheelchair friendly sometimes, and golfing, and so it's been such an honor. I'm super grateful that I was able to collect a win here. And it's Thailand. The fans are incredible, and the golf course has been incredible. And I think the whole week and experience has 10 out of 10. So I'm just extremely grateful to be able to win here. I mean, I've never played the final round with a 5-shot lead, but I knew I wasn't like super comfortable. It's not a tournament or a golf course where 5-shot is a lot. Considering that Aki shot Thursday 10 under, I knew that she was incapable of a low score, along with Gino, Moria, and Patty, and everyone that was playing, like Alim, who just had one in the beginning of the year. And so I just knew I just need to keep playing how I've been playing, and then we'll see what happens. And my physio, Jan, said, if it's mine, it's mine. So I think it's mine.
Yes, I think it is. If it's mine, it's mine, she said. Angel Yin finishing, as you can see there, on 28 under par, winning the Honda LPGA Thailand at that. So, Dom, what were you talking to me about? Again, as you guys know, I'm literally sitting here telling you that I'm immersed in my job this weekend for PGA Tour Live, so I don't see a lot of the kind of social media banter or what have you that's going around. What were you asking me about aim point this morning?
Andrew can put the picture up, but Alim Kim, who was playing in Thailand, who finished, you saw on the leaderboard if you were looking there, she finished in 6th in the tournament.
Okay.
A lot of players on all the tours use aim point as a way of going through a process to, putt. And this is Alim Kim, and this went on, it was on fire. It was on everybody's account over the weekend over what looks to be, I don't know, 8 inches, a foot. And she's clearly starting her aim point process. And people were just beside themselves, Matt. They couldn't understand how or why you could possibly do this. What's the matter with you? This is what's wrong with golf, et cetera, et cetera. What say you about aim point, Matt?
I think what people don't get is a lot of what these players are going through. Clearly in that instance, you can put the picture up there, Andrew. Clearly in that instance, that's a step up, tap in, move on. It's 3 to 5 seconds. But what a lot of players are going through now, particularly when it comes to, say, sports psychology, is they want you to go through a routine. And the routine is the exact same. Oftentimes, if you're talking to amateur golfers and you'll say, how many times do you waggle? They'll be like, I don't know. right? Where the sports psychologists want to know what your routine is. And the reason why they want to know what your routine is that when the moments come on a hole, in a round, in a week, in a tournament, in a year, at a major, whatever it is, when the moments come that you are outside of yourself because of the pressure that you are under, you want the routine to be so ingrained that your body goes through the same thing to give you the best chance to perform. So that what I see in this instance is not the necessity of aim point from a foot away. It's the routine that a player goes through every single time. Now, its impact on pace of play is a separate conversation. If you are a person that gets incensed because the pace of play in professional golf, then that's another conversation to say, does aim point slow the game down? Right? That method of a putting ideology when you get into it. What I think was interesting about that, it kind of in my ADHD mind myself, and I never asked, I was working with Tour Pro Tim Wilkinson this weekend. I never got a chance to ask Tim about this, and I'll be honest with you guys why I didn't. Because when I saw what I'm about to tell you, for me to bring it up at any particular instance would be to try and convict in a television medium whoever just did what was in front of my eyes that caused me to ask the question. So I had to be really careful, and I'm like, where am I going to place this question so I don't convict somebody who may or may not have done what I just thought I saw? What I'm getting at is, here's my question. Because the rules were modified that we can tap down spike marks and do a little bit of gardening in our path, I'm finding that many players are very loosey-goosey about stepping in other players' lines or through lines. Now, a through line is the other side of the hole. If I miss this putt, it's a tough putt. The greens are really fast. And if I miss it on the high side, it's going to release past the hole. It could go 3-4 feet past. And that side, that through line just got chewed up by somebody that was finishing up their putt. You know, they stepped up and they finished. And some players get really annoyed by that. But I'm wondering if now, because the rules go, nah, you can go, and if you got a problem with where I just stepped, just tap it down. It's fine. Right? And as I'm saying that, I know there's some people out there rolling their eyes going, yeah, well, what happens if the person we're talking about is big and heavy, and when they step, the ground might be soft and it leaves an indentation, right? It happens. So I'm just wondering, have you guys noticed that, or am I bringing up something nobody else has touched on? And I don't mean it in a glorified way. I'm just saying, is there some merit to this? Is there something real to it? Because I was watching it all weekend. And a couple of times, because remember, when we're on. This isn't a cutaway. We're not going to 15, back to 6, over to 12. We're there. And a couple times I watched some people like they take a putt, they miss it by a foot. I'm going to go in and tap that in. They step up there, and they're right in somebody else's line, or appeared to. And I thought the line that they stepped in of the other player looked really annoyed to me. That's what caused me to go, is there something here? And as I told you honestly, I couldn't find a time to ask the question, without video conviction. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious if that's out there. If you hear anything, if you see anything or hear, Dom's in my ear laughing about this whole situation because he knows how awkward it would be in that. But if somebody weighs in on that from the people, Fairways of Life YouTube channel, there's an open discussion board always. But I am also curious, did you do a question of the day?
I did do a question of the day. Would you like to hear it?
No, I just want to know if you did one. Folks, we'll be back with more on the Fairways of Life short after. No, what is your question of the day?
So coming off the news of the White House meeting, which we'll probably get to in the next segment here, between the PGA Tour and PIF and President Trump in the United States, and the possibilities of LIV, there's been some rumors floating about the Players' Championship. So I asked the question, what are the odds that a LIV player will be in the field at the Players' Championship this coming March? Better than 50%, less than 50%, zero chance, or it's a sure bet. Right now, 56% are saying 0 chance. And 22% are saying better than 50% chance, which is honestly a higher number than I anticipated.
Okay.
So there you go.
How,
That's your question.
okay. How do we interpret the answers to that question? What
What does
did
that
you
mean?
have intent with this question? What and what if you did?
No,
what-
no intent. No intent. Like for example, I think almost like a local rule. I could see a situation where, like in good faith, as an agreement is getting closer to being reached, if an agreement is not reached by that time, they make an adjustment and have some player exemptions or do something to let some of these guys into the Players' Championship, almost like a show of good faith. Like, look, we're almost done with the deal. The deal's coming down the pipe. It just hasn't happened today, but we're going to let some of these guys play like Brooks Koepka in the Players' Championship. I think that's a realistic possibility. So that's kind of where it came from. Now, will an agreement be done by then? Nah, who knows? But I still think that they could figure out a way to get some, just like the major championships. They've been releasing news recently of, making exemptions here, exemptions there, making adjustments for live standings. You can do the same thing at the Players.
My normal disposition is not to criticize a question of the day. But
this is a stupid question of the day.
no,
Don,
I
you're
mean,
fired.
what I would think would have been a more pertinent question of the day is, should live players be invited to play in the Players? Yes, no. I guess you could throw in a maybe, but yes or no is pretty black or white. And to the point that the latter point that you just.
Do you want me to end the poll and re-ask your question?
No, I don't. No, I'm not that.
Okay,
I'm not that vested in your question of the day.
Oh my God! I just ended the poll. All right, we'll have to start a new poll. I'm sorry. What was the question, Matt?
Should live players be invited to play in the Players' Championship? Right?
And you don't want a third option. You just want
I
it
don't
to
know
be yes
what the
and
third
no.
option would be. What's the third option? Maybe? I mean, what is it?
Third options was Dom's question was fine. That's the third option.
Put a D in there. Dom's question was stupid. But what
No.
what I'm getting at is,
Dom's question was
to
fine.
to your point, I hope you get back 80%. Dom's question was fine. I
Me too.
I'm not going.
Me too.
I'm not going down this road to criticize your question. What I'm saying is that's not the intent. What I'm saying
I
is
didn't have
that,
intent. It's just a question. There's no agenda here.
But what I'm saying, well, I think there could be an agenda here, which is to say, it is clear the PGA Tour wants the Players to be the fifth major. It is 100% clear. They've done a great job now for decades in going, that's not up to us. Time will decide that. But sitting back in their offices, you know what they want. And I can't blame them.
Oh, 43%. Dom's question was fine. Early in the voting,
Yeah,
but
early vote. What do you have,
I'm
2
loving
votes?
you guys. Spend seconds, but the correct amount of seconds for me to
Can you
take
tell?
the lead.
Can you tell who voted?
No, you can't tell. It's anonymous.
That's a lie.
It's anonymous
That's
voting.
Because you know I would ban.
No, it's
I'm gonna
anonymous.
ban whoever-
Unless someone writes in and says, I voted for Dom. And then I'll know who it
I
is.
love the way Dom leads people, and they don't even see it coming.
I'm not
So,
leading anybody. It's an open-ended,
If
agendaless
you're going
question.
to have an event that you tell the world has the strongest field in golf, year in and year out, if you're going to have an event that you want the world to perceive as the fifth major, then you need to have the best players in the world there. All of them. Right? And the posturing that became, such a point of fracture of you made a decision, you left, you're never coming back, blah, 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 all that, which now are words that I suspect they wish were never uttered in that method. And although I know that there's people that feel that that's the way it should be to this day. I get it. I understand. And I've said 1,000,000 times, on both sides, people have a right to their opinion. But if you truly want this event to be seen in the caliber of the other majors, then you have to be willing to take a position and a posture that outside of competition and politics, you need to have the best players in the world represented at your event. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, if you want to be seen as on the same stage as or approaching the same stage as the game's majors, that's necessary. That report, do you have that graphic, Andrew, of the statement that was put out? This was officially from the PGA Tour. Quoting, "We've just concluded a constructive working session at the White House with President Trump and Yasir Al-Rumayyan. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump, we have initiated a discussion about the reunification of golf. We are committed to moving as quickly as possible and will share additional details as appropriate. We share a passion for the game and the importance of reunification. Most importantly, we want the best players in the world playing together more often and are committed to doing all we can to deliver that outcome for our fans," close quote. So, you know, it's hard for the President of the United States to do anything without people knowing what's going on. So I could see the tour's perspective of putting this statement out and going, yeah, we met with the President of the United States to try to get something done, which raises the first question in terms of the negotiation, which is really interesting because they say, we have initiated a discussion about the reunification of golf. My impression was that discussion would have been initiated a long time ago, but I assume they're speaking in context of the president being involved in the discussion now, which I think it was pretty impressive to me that the new chief executive would put time aside, which apparently he's done now at least twice, to discuss this matter with everything else that surely a chief executive is dealing with. So then it always comes down to, as I talk about often from my own journalistic instinct perspective, of the why. What's the why? Are PIF and the PGA Tour at a crossroads that they can't seem to find a common ground? What role could the President of the United States play in that? Would it have something to do with far more impactful geopolitical issues? Perhaps concessions, perhaps other means of other areas that have been a sticking point, perhaps between Saudi Arabia and the United States? I don't know. Is what this really is about is that they pretty much have an agreement in place, and what they're trying to do is to get the President of the United States to say, okay, I like this. You've got my personal backing. And with that personal backing, it will have an impact on the Department of Justice, because the Department of Justice was engaged because of questions that were asked by senators, et cetera, as to whether the merging of these two entities would represent a collusion, would represent a monopoly. And if you could get the President of the United States to say, no, this is good for the game, et cetera, et cetera. So the statement, to me, acknowledges a meeting. They met. The statement wants to feed the hungry by saying, last sentence, most importantly, we want the best players in the world playing together more often and are committed to doing all we can to deliver that outcome for our fans. That's the last sentence in the statement. Right? And so I think it's interesting that they put the statement out, but just like the first time they put a statement out, there's a lot of gray in this thing. There's a lot that we really do not know. But the speculation's out there. We talked about Rex Hoggard's report last week that the belief is that they're quite close. And Dom was alluding to rumors that are floating around saying, hey, maybe as soon as the players, you could have some players playing in each other's event.
Can I ask a semantics question?
Yeah.
Currently, someone like Brooks Koepka or Bryson DeChambeau are qualified for the players, in theory, having won major championships recently. They're not allowed to play because they're currently under suspension. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So if they were to allow them, for an example, to play, there would have to be a statement released saying we've just decided to lift their suspension. Do you think that a concern or a possible reasoning for not going down that route is because if they decide to lift a suspension for that specific purpose without a deal in place, that sets a really complicated precedent for other players who have left? Is that the reasoning behind the possibility of not doing something like that?
I think what you're alluding to is correct, that the reason they haven't done it yet is because it can be used as a negotiating tactic, yeah. But again, I'm stepping outside of that and going, you can't just take up a position and say to the world that this is the strongest field in golf when you don't have some of the strongest players in the world, whether you like it or not. I'm putting aside all of the other issues that everyone's going to deal with when they pound their fists on the table and say they left the PGA Tour, blah, blah, blah. Or they're playing for a league that's owned by Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has done this and Saudi Arabia has done that, when we don't take our own selves to task for our own relationships with Saudi Arabia, which are deep and necessary if you speak to the people who are dealing with national security issues. Right? That's one of the things with this whole issue that I've always scratched my head about. The condemnation of players doing what they did when, whether it's your gas tank or whether it's your sovereignty or what have you, it's okay if it's done in other areas because those are issues that impact more. So I don't get it. There's a disconnect here. I don't know how you hate some of it and then other parts of it are okay. That I don't get. So it's like this situation where there's a lot of people that are really, what they're really angry about is what they perceive to be a lack of loyalty. I get that. I've had conversations with people saying, well, they come back, they should be punished and all the rest. I'm like, punished, but hasn't everybody benefited from what happened? Haven't you guys have been here? I've done interviews with people, even members of players who are board members, and said, have you not benefited from the creation, the existence of LIV? Yes, I have. Okay. Really interesting questions. And so all I'm saying is that when you read and hear that statement, you try to draw from it, what does this really mean? What's the why here? And my guess is that this is mostly about the Department of Justice. This is mostly about shutting down individual or collective efforts of the politicians. And remember, it was Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut that spoke to the PGA Tour as, I believe the phrase he used was a cherished American institution. And the concern that he had of, I'm paraphrasing now, I don't mean to define his words, the concern that he had of Saudi Arabia, taking over the tour, which doesn't appear to be the case, particularly since there's been $1.5 billion invested in the tour's new for-profit entity by the Strategic Sports Group, as they're calling themselves. So anyway, it's very, very interesting stuff. And what we'll do here is, Don, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to that Brian Campbell sound in earnest that I promised everybody. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. And again, it goes to that point that I was telling you guys that I think is important, which is this opportunity to get to know players, new players, names that you hadn't known before. I mean, Brian Campbell's a winner now on the PGA Tour, and prior to that, his best finish, I believe, was 2017, which he finished tied for 12th. He hadn't had a top 10. And in a particular weekend, you find something special, and then fate decides to smile. In a shot that was bounding out of bounds, ricocheted back in bounds. Wherefrom he hit it, if I believe, was 89 yards. I think he had left for his third shot that he stuck and made subsequently. 68 what? Oh, 68 was the third shot? Thank you.
Yeah.
With the wedge.
And to Potgieter, to his credit, Matt, there's a lot of coverage of it from a wide-angle shot. He turned around and clapped for him after that shot in the middle of competition, in the middle of the playoff.
Yeah, by that time, I had finished, because once they go through 17, my job is done. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Speaking of which, how about that freaking 7-wood by Brian Campbell? And that's pretty. That was pretty impressive.
Which hole?
On 17.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw him.
In regulation, obviously.
I actually was surprised when I saw him hitting that, because we forget that 7-woods are becoming popular on tour now. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, what the heck is that? If it had been a 5-wood, a player of his caliber is going to hit a 5-wood 240 at least. And he just popped that one up there. And they were playing it, if memory serves me, about 215. So anyway, what I was getting at was, by the time that they went to 18, I was in my truck driving home, and I was listening to it on the radio, which was great entertainment for a long drive home. There's no doubt about that. All right, folks. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. When we come back from this break, you're going to hear from the man that just won on the PGA Tour.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. is supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops Iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Just so special. If I'm honest, it feels really numb right now. I'm so appreciative of this week. Honestly, the people who put on tournaments like this, I think it goes overlooked. But getting the courses ready, getting us ready, it's really special what they do week in and week out. So I'm just so over the top thankful for everything and just stoked right now. Yeah, that was not by design. I don't recommend going right on that tee shot, but I was very fortunate to get the bounce still in play, and then got myself back in position, and my caddy gave me a perfect number, and I trusted it, and gave us a chance against Aldrich, so that was nice. Thought I was going to throw up at multiple times during the day. I really that last hole, I guess I just wanted to keep the party going a little longer, but not by design. Yeah, it was really fun to play against him. We had some guys further back coming up to get us too, so we had a lot to think about. But shout out to Aldrich. His game is really good and impressive, and I'm just excited to see what's next. It's hard to look. Of course, it's hard to look at a guy next to you hitting it 60 to 80 yards past you. But you really just gotta stay focused on what you're there to do, and do the best you can. Oh, it's been amazing. It started about almost 2 years ago, halfway through the Korn Ferry season, and I was just looking for a guy, who had a good head on his shoulders, was young and eager and hungry, and it was a perfect match. And we had some early success, and I just can't say enough good things about Cooper. He's really a good guy, and he's a big part of the reason why we're here today. Trust yourself. You know what you're capable of. You've put in years of hard work. It's not always going to go your way, but you really just got to trust the process. Keep digging deep, and just really believe in yourself. It's hard to do that out here if you don't win, you're a loser. It's kind of an interesting concept, even second place. But so we have to deal with that every week. But you really got to just trust yourself, believe in yourself, and go take care of business. Yeah, I almost stopped golfing about 2 years ago. I was at second stage. I made a quad on a par 3 and thought I shot myself out of Q school, and then somehow managed to fight back the next day and shoot a really nice number, got myself back in it enough to get to final stage, and that led to last year, and had a really strong last year. So it's crazy how quickly things can change, and I'm so blessed to be in this position. It does, in a way. It's hard to look at it that way. It's been a long time, but I've battled through some injuries for the last couple of years. It's not been easy, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't even know what to say. It has been so long. It's been 8 or 9 years since I've been back. I guess I was focused more on getting myself healthy again, and really just trying to enjoy golf again, have fun with it. And it's crazy what can happen when you focus on the right things. amazing. The fans here are unlike anywhere else. It started in Mexico for me back 9 years ago. I played a web.com event in Leon, and I had conditional status, and I was playing the first round, and there was a guy at 9 under par, and so I was just chasing him. Finished the round only to find out that that was a mistake, and I was leading the tournament. So I was chasing someone that wasn't there, and so that catapulted my career a lot. It got me starts from then on, and so I have a special place in my heart with Mexico and the fans here. I mean, the amount of kids out here seeing them all excited, I love to see that stuff. So I hope to see them out here playing the Mexico Open in the next couple of years too. My family means everything. They are the sole reason why I'm here today. Without their support, I don't know what I would be doing, but they're so special to me. They have supported me this whole time. It's not all been good I've had a struggle period for many years. They've let me keep getting after it, and then Kelsey, I can't say enough about her. She's just my rock, out here. I get to do what I get to do, and she's always there in my corner, and it's just been a blessing. Thank you so much.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7, it doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm gonna go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're gonna need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.